a testament to the way in which language can inflame emotions. To some reactionaries, the 2019 inquest into murdered and missing Indigenous women had crossed beyond the scope of discourse in its assertion of genocide. Despite the mass amount of tragic events unfolding over decades, the impacts of which have affected not only the victims themselves, but the families and communities in which their loss is permanently altered. What is it about the term genocide that is so controversial? Is it that some mainstream Canadians can only associate the notion of genocide with foreign nations, with events beyond their scope of understanding, comfortably packaged by the media? Are these objections voiced out of a desire to interpret the UN Treaty on Genocide to its fullest applicable extent? Or rather, is this a typical attempt to downplay the negligent attitudes of the justice system and the institution of policing towards Aboriginal people, sex workers, and vulnerable groups in general, despite the overwhelming evidence towards a calculated series of murders and disappearances? The uncomfortable disparity of privilege and historically domineering past are seldom a positive realization. As with many unpleasant realities, there is always a blowback from those unwilling to compromise on their history and affirm its impacts on current discourse. Canada's national shame is its oppressive colonial heritage. The motive of ruling powers has been to undermine this vile legacy, and in doing so preserve the lustrous facade of Canada as a model of benevolence and equality. But if the national conscience wants to be cleared or truly progressed, the past must be understood and its current impacts remedied. Framing the issue of Indigenous disparity as a historical throwback disregards the contemporary urgency felt by First Nations communities. Purposeful marginalization has stifled a people rightfully deserving of greater autonomy and representation. The decades of murders are an abhorrent stain that will never be truly expunged. Let us use the memory of those so painfully lost as a tool of understanding towards our goal of equality and progress.